Have you ever wondered how some people manage to keep their homes tidy at all times, even with small children and 1,000 chores to do? Well, I wondered that too a few years ago. My name is Anna, I'm 37, I have 2 children, and I confess that I used to be that person who lived in an endless mess. Do you know when you look around and feel anxious at the sight of so much clutter? That's exactly how I felt every day when I woke up. But everything changed when I discovered that the secret isn't in doing huge cleanups at weekends, but in small daily habits that, when added together, make all the difference. Today I'm going to share with you the 10 habits that have revolutionized my life and transformed my home into a welcoming and organized environment. The first habit, and perhaps the most important, is making the bed as soon as I wake up. Sounds silly, doesn't it? But let me tell you something. When I started doing this, I realized that this simple 3-minute act completely changed my mood and my disposition for the day. It's like a trigger that tells me the day has started, and it started well. What's more, the room automatically looks tidier. The second habit I've adopted is what I call the 15-minute rule. Every night before I go to bed, I dedicate a little time to a quick tidy up. I put away scattered toys, organize the sofa cushions, clean the kitchen sink, and do a quick sweep of the house. It's amazing how waking up with everything in order makes a difference to my mood. I remember that before, when I left everything in a mess for the next day, I felt defeated when I woke up. The third habit is something I learned from my grandmother: clean while you dirty. This means that, while I'm cooking, I wash the dishes and wipe the spills off the stove. When I make breakfast, I wash the cups immediately after use. It sounds like a lot of work, but it actually saves a lot of time. Before, I would let everything pile up and end up spending a whole hour just cleaning the kitchen at the end of the day. The fourth habit is to maintain a laundry routine. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are my laundry days, without exception. Establishing this routine avoids those mountains of laundry that used to scare me at weekends. More importantly, every load I wash is folded and put away on the same day. No more clean clothes piling up. The fifth habit was a game changer: creating a command zone at the entrance to the house. I installed hooks for hanging bags and coats, a shoe rack, and a small tray for keys and mail. This prevents these items from spreading around the house. My children now know: come home, shoes on the shoe rack, backpack on the hook. The sixth habit, which I consider fundamental, is what I call the one-touch rule. You know, when you pick something up and carry it around the house, leaving it in various different places until you finally put it away in the right place? Yeah, I used to do that a lot. Now, when I pick up an object, I take it straight to its final place. This goes for everything: clothes, toys, mail, and kitchen utensils. It sounds simple, but it's made a huge difference to the organization of my home. I remember that before, at the end of the day, I would find glasses in every room, clothes scattered in the hallway, and toys everywhere. It was as if the mess multiplied by itself. Today, with the one-touch rule, I save time and energy, as well as teaching my children by example. The seventh habit is to maintain a system of daily zoned cleaning. Monday I focus on the bathroom, Tuesday on the bedrooms, Wednesday on the living room, Thursday on the kitchen, and Friday on the extra areas, such as the balcony and laundry room. It's not a deep clean, that's for the weekends, but basic maintenance that prevents dirt from accumulating. When I started this system, my husband thought I was overdoing it with so much organization. But once he realized how much easier the house was to maintain and how much less time we spent on heavy cleaning, he became my biggest supporter. It's amazing how a well-established routine can completely transform family dynamics. The eighth habit is to do a 10-minute sweep before every meal. I take advantage of this time to put away out-of-place items, organize cushions, pick up toys, and give the house a once-over. I do this 3 times a day: before breakfast, before lunch, and before dinner. It's as if they were mini resets that prevent chaos from setting in. This practice helps me especially when I receive unexpected visitors. Before, I would panic at the thought of someone turning up unannounced. Today, as the house is always at a basic level of organization, I can receive people calmly, without being embarrassed by the mess. The ninth habit is to maintain a continuous disposal system. In each room and in the laundry room, I have a small box where I put items I no longer use. When the box is full, I separate it into donations, recycling, and garbage. This prevents the unnecessary accumulation of things and keeps the cupboards organized at all times. It's amazing how much stuff we accumulate without realizing it. When I started this system, I found clothes with labels I'd never worn, forgotten toys, and even duplicate cleaning products. Today, I'm much more aware of what we really need at home. The 10th and final habit, which tied all the others together, was to create a family participation system. Each member of the family has their own daily responsibilities, including the children. Pedro, my 8-year-old son, is responsible for organizing his toys and making his bed. Laura, 5, helps feed our dog and put her shoes away. My husband is left with the task of taking out the garbage and keeping the garage in order. At first, I confess it was challenging to implement this system. The children complained. My husband sometimes forgot his chores and I had to keep reminding everyone. But with persistence and a lot of talking, we managed to create a routine that works for everyone. Today, it's gratifying to see how everyone feels responsible for the well-being of our home. But let me tell you something important. Implementing these habits didn't happen overnight. I started slowly, one habit at a time, until they became natural. And yes, I still have days when not everything goes according to plan. After all, we're human. The key is not to give up and get back on track the next day. I remember vividly the day I realized that these habits were really working. It was an ordinary Tuesday, when a friend dropped by unannounced to pick up a recipe. In other times, I would have panicked and asked her to wait at the door. But that day, I was able to welcome her calmly, serve her a coffee and chat without worrying about the mess, simply because there was no mess. And it's not just about physical organization. I realized that a tidy house has a direct impact on our emotional well-being. The children sleep better, fight less, and can concentrate more on their schoolwork. My husband, who used to spend hours looking for his things, now finds everything easily. And me? Well as having more free time, I feel much less anxiety and stress. Another unexpected benefit has been the savings. When we keep everything organized, we know exactly what we have at home, avoiding unnecessary purchases. We also spend less on cleaning products, as daily maintenance prevents deep soiling that requires stronger products. But it's not all flowers, and it's important to be honest about that. There were moments of frustration, especially at the beginning. I remember one particularly difficult day, when Laura had a fever. I had to take the dog to the emergency vet and I still had an important deadline at work. Oh yes, I forgot to mention that I also work part-time from home. That day, my routine fell apart and for a moment, I was tempted to give it all up and go back to old habits. That's when I realized something crucial. Flexibility is just as important as consistency. I learned to be kind to myself on the days when not everything goes according to plan. The important thing is not to let a bad day turn into a bad week, or a bad month. The next day, I resumed my routine with even more determination. One of the questions I get most from my friends is, "But Anna, how do you find time for all this?" The truth is that, contrary to what it may seem, these habits make me gain time, not lose it. Think about it. How much time do you spend looking for things lost in the mess? Or doing that monstrous cleaning at the weekend, when you could be relaxing or enjoying your family? Speaking of family, it's amazing how these changes have positively affected our coexistence. Before, weekends were filled with arguments about who would do which chore. Now, with everything more organized during the week, we have more quality time together. Last Saturday, for example, we managed to have a picnic in the park. Something that would have been impossible before, as we would have been bogged down with accumulated household chores. Another significant change was in our morning routine. Before, it was chaos, everyone running around, looking for things, forgetting important items. Now, with everything organized the night before, our mornings flow much more smoothly. The children have time to eat breakfast without rushing, and I no longer have to shout, "We're going to be late," every 5 minutes. One aspect I didn't expect, but which has made a big difference, is how these habits are educating my children for the future. Pedro and Laura are learning about responsibility, organization and teamwork in a natural and practical way. Recently, Pedro's teacher commented on how organized he is in class, always putting his materials away and helping his classmates. I was thrilled to realize that our habits at home were having such a positive impact on his school life. But not everything is perfect, and it's important to be realistic. There are days when things simply don't go according to plan. Last week, for example, Pedro fell ill and I spent 2 sleepless nights looking after him. On those days, my routine was completely altered and I confess, the house was a mess. But do you know what I realized? I now have the tools to get back on track quickly. Instead of despairing over the accumulated mess, I simply applied my habits one by one and, within 2 days, the house was back to normal. A valuable lesson I learned on this journey is that keeping an organized home doesn't mean having a perfect home all the time. We live, we have fun, we make messes, and that's okay. The important thing is to have a system that allows us to take back control easily. Speaking of systems, one thing that has helped me a lot is the use of technology. I created a WhatsApp group just for the family, where we share our daily tasks and encourage each other. I also use a to-do list app to stay organized and not forget anything important. As I shared these changes with friends and family, I realized that many people face the same challenges I did. That's when I came up with the idea of creating a small support group in the neighborhood. We meet once a month to exchange tips, vent about our challenges, and celebrate our small victories. It's amazing how this sense of community strengthens and motivates us. One of the greatest rewards of this journey has been seeing how these changes have impacted my marriage. My husband and I have far fewer conflicts over household chores and are able to devote more time to each other. Recently, we started having home dates once a week, after the children have gone to bed. With the house organized, we can really relax and enjoy this time without worrying about the mess around us. Reflecting on all this, I realize that these 10 habits go far beyond keeping a clean and orderly house. They have transformed our family dynamic, improved our emotional well-being, and taught us valuable lessons about teamwork, responsibility, and persistence. If you're reading this and feeling overwhelmed by the mess at home, I want you to know that change is possible. Start slowly, be patient with yourself, and remember, the goal is not perfection, but to create a home that works for you and your family. Implementing these habits was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Not only do I have a more organized home, but I also have more time, less stress, and a closer-knit family. And you know what else is amazing? Seeing how these simple changes can have such a profound impact on so many aspects of life. So if you're ready to transform your home and your routine, why not start today? Choose one of the habits I've shared and start implementing it. Remember, every little step counts. And who knows? In a few months' time, you could be sharing your own story of transformation. After all, an organized home isn't just about having everything in the right place. It's about creating an environment where happy memories can be made, where stress is reduced, and where every member of the family can thrive. And that, believe me, is worth every effort.